Data is a precious thing and will last longer than the systems themselves. Good evening, MBA 06, MBA 07, MBA HR 01, MBA BA 01, EMBA 01, and alumni. On behalf of Industry Interaction Cell, I, Jasdeep Singh Panfe, along with Gunjan Preet, welcome you all to Vyakriti, the inaugural IT and Analytics Conclave of IIM Amritsar. Now I would like to invite Krishna Prasad V and Akshay Kumar PD from MBA 07 batch to give a short presentation about today's theme.
Am I audible, Jasdeep?
Yes, Krishna.
Am I audible, Jasdeep?
Yes, Akshay, you're audible.
Oh, my screen is also visible, right?
Yep. So, good
Can you
evening.
please confirm if my screen is visible?
Yeah, screen is visible. Actually.
Okay.
Good evening. We live in a world where one has to run at their full speed to stay wherever they are. People are skeptical when it is time to make a change in their business models. The exception we have seen was from the luxury mogul Burberry. From being a struggling brand in 2006 to the juggernaut it is now, the transformation the brand went through was spectacular, and that would be an understatement. The major focus on digital transformation through going all in on social media marketing and creating a model for an in-store experience online was revolutionary for that time. Burberry didn't care about betting on something which wasn't sure to give a result, because at that point, the company was sinking. Now, nobody has the luxury to wait around till their model flops. And that brings us to our problem statement. What can companies do to make sure that they are on the right path? We are Akshay Kumar and Krishna Prasad, presenting on the topic, Evolving to Adapt, Digital Transformation in the Era of Disruption. Until the 1980s, business strategy was predicted on the static advantages a company had, which was derived on the scale and positioning of the company. The operation part was done through planning cycles, and it was executed in the BUs of the companies. However, with the rapid technological advancements, it kind of became irrelevant. The sustainability part in sustainable competition became less significant in the majority of cases, and companies which adapted digitally gained whatever advantage they could. The transformation was seen in its full glory from the mid part of the 2010s, with companies outside the IT sector, including the famous examples of Hero and Mahindra, choosing to digitally transform. According to the CIO of Vyakriti, Jay Ferro, the why of your organization's digital transformation might be around improving customer experience, reducing friction, increasing productivity, or elevating profitability. Or if it is an aspirational statement, it might revolve around becoming the absolute best to do business with, utilizing or enabling digital technologies that were unavailable years ago. So now the question is how to successfully attain digital transformation attuned to the customers. It starts with building an aspiration or a purpose for the customers. A fundamental change of mindset focusing on the customer along with the operational and IT improvements can generate 20 to 30% uplift in customer satisfaction, a 10 to 20% improvement in employee satisfaction, and economic gains ranging from 20 to 50% of the cost base addressing the various journeys. It then moves to transforming the business, which is our focal points. There are a lot of cutting edge technologies that we can start working on, like say IoT, machine learning, or 5G. The 6 golden rules for digital transformation, according to Ericsson.com, are to know your audience, which is self-explanatory, capturing the data opportunity, wherein a full stack perspective adoption is recommended, where one evaluates everything from how data is structured and how it is governed, testing one's proof of concept by starting a pilot program and acting fast and testing early, embracing new ways of working to stay ahead by not doing it alone and doing it together, and to not compromise on security. Spotlight should be put on the last point, as security concerns are increasing day after day, and it is one of the prime reasons why companies aren't willing to digitally transform as well. Irrespective of industries, the disruption caused by the pandemic has increased the speed in which companies conduct business. The graphic is an indicator how in various industries people believe that the pandemic has caused a sense of vulnerability. According to a recent survey, many respondents recognize that their company's business models are becoming obsolete. Only 11% believe their current business models will be economically viable through 2023, while another 64% say that their companies need to build new digital businesses to help them get there. In order to meet the increasing demands, companies are making digital and technological investments across business models as well. It goes without saying that data and analytics are key drivers of any organization's digital transformation efforts. According to Forrester, insight-driven businesses set the pace for global growth. Insight-driven businesses are growing at an average of more than 30% per year, and by 2020, are predicted to take a 1.0 billion growth annually from their less informed peers. However, Gartner estimates that almost 60% of big data projects fail. This is mainly owing to the fact that there is a big difference between data and analytics, and data is pretty useless on its own. Therefore, organizations are looking for augmented analytics wherein there is minimal human intervention and maximized analytics. Formulating use cases is also a key trend in industries as they help in creating a roadmap so robust in nature. A data analytics use case is a manner in which the business user leverages data and the analytics systems to derive insights to answer tangible business questions for decision making. The 4 key points starts with objectiveness, where we ensure that the use cases are tied to the SBOs of the organization. Availability bias should be avoided at any cost, and then we are good to go to the next stage, which is ownership, where we identify one person who is accountable for one job. Everybody's job, as we all know, is nobody's job. Focusing on intangible benefits like quality, productivity, and engagement won't work in this case, as one has to be given concrete incentives, as mentioned, to increase productivity. The final point in this semi-concluding era is that of creating an optimal library, where there are about 12 use cases for identification of repeatable patterns and ease of designing and deployment of decision making. Akshay will take you guys through the rest of the presentation.
One should focus on putting people in the organization first, ahead of technologies. Digital transformation is less about technology and more about people. Pretty much any tech can be bought, but people of talent are scarce. The ability and willingness to learn, improve, and think on one's feet are what we believe is the required success for a person in the industry. There are analytic tools for people who are not well too much into technology as well, like say Google Analytics Studio or even Excel, which are excellent data analytics and interpretational tools manageable for everyone, even non-coders. Busting the myth that data analytics is only for coders is the important step in data digital transformation. Just as technological disruption has generally led to automation and the elimination of outdated jobs, it has also always created new jobs. This is why innovation is commonly described as creative destruction. If we can leverage the human capital that we have to upskill and reskill our workforce, we can simultaneously augment humans and technology. Technology is evolving at an alarming rate, and what we need is not people who are good with technology, but those who can be taught new technologies day after day. The talent gap became so huge that even oil giants in India started hiring laterally to fill the gap in for the first time since their company's inception. One of the major disruptions COVID-19 brought about was the paradigm shift in the working pattern of companies. Work from home and work from everywhere models emerged as it had become the need of the hour, and according to most people, it is here to stay. Along with reskilling people and making them upskill ready, addressing the sudden shift in the paradigm has also become a major factor while talking about people and technology. Former GE CEO Jack Welch's famous quote, "Soft work is the hard work," is so very true. Operational culture is considered as a sustainable competitive advantage by 82% of more than 7,000 CEOs and HR heads of various companies, according to Deloitte Human Capital Trends. And to achieve it, keeping in mind the following points is of absolute necessity. The various challenges of a disrupted work pattern, including collaboration challenges, blurry boundaries between work and home, performance anxiety, as well as the distractions around one, can be unironically tackled with the help of technology as well. There are various tools, including Flowdesk, Slack, etc., which help people collaborate well. Most of the other issues can be tackled with steps such as aligning the culture of the company with the brand, measuring one's effort, proper investment, and proper leadership. It is rather not surprising that even in a pure human resource topic like people management and cultural shift, analytics and big data tools like Visio, Oyster, and Remote comes into the picture. Along with the increasing digitalization across various industries, the concern for cybersecurity also increases. The Sri Krishna Committee recommendations, which were in accordance with the European privacy laws (GDPR), was a milestone when it came to addressing privacy concerns. There have been landmark judgments which reference the recommendation, and it has been going on till today and will continue to go on. Another interesting way of looking at the matter is the thought process of considering data protection as a new corporate social responsibility. There has been instances in the past where we have seen cybersecurity and CSR aligned, not just in policy, but in behavior as well. A good early example is the Heartland payment system data breach in 2008. Going on beyond their mandatory legal requirements, the company went out its way to make details of the attack public, helping competitors to protect themselves against similar incidents. Also, the end users must be made aware of the whys and hows of cyber attacks taking place. As a recent report shows that 97% of people are concerned about their data, and only 47% use password managers, and only 29% use the same password across platforms. It is said that the interaction between shareholders, executive management, and the board of directors, which makes way for a good governance system in these highly disruptive times. The digital savviness must reflect on all levels in order for the company to function well. The background of individual members, the number of members with a deep experience, and the way the board interacts with the management over the strategic role of technology plays a very important role when it comes to having a digital savvy board with competitive advantage. Digitalization has allowed businesses in many sectors to locate various stages of their production process across different countries and at the same time access a great number of customers around the globe. Digitalization also allows some highly digitalized enterprises to be heavily involved in the economic life of a jurisdiction without any significant physical presence, thus achieving operational local scale without local mass. Also, digitalization has resulted in the importance of investing in intangible assets such as, say, IP rights. For many digitalized enterprises, the intense use of IP assets such as software and algorithms supporting their platforms, websites, and many other crucial functions are central to their business models. Now I invite KP to conclude the presentation.
As in any disruptive or innovative field, the focus here too should be on the readiness of people to reskill and update as per what time asks. Companies, government, top and workers must come together so that the pervasive data giant is well tackled with a robust and fail-proof system, answering all the concerns of the various stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you, Krishna and Akshay, for introducing the theme of the conclave. That was a wonderful presentation indeed. Now, without further ado, I would like to steer the conclave towards discussion on the theme by introducing today's guests. Mr. Bhaskar Roy, Vice President and Global Operating Leader, Genpact Analytics and Research Services. Mr. Bhaskar Roy has more than 22 years of diverse experience managing significant processes in analytics and data science, consulting, and intelligence operations. He is currently working as Vice President and Global Leader for Analytics. His key expertise areas include sales and marketing, commercial and pricing analytics, advanced analytics including ML, AI, and Six Sigma to drive digital operations and process transformation. Mr. Roy has led and scaled service delivery and management consulting services for many Fortune 500 companies across the globe. He is also a PhD in applied statistics and master's in statistics, an MBA in marketing. He has worked with Genpact, General Electric, the Indian Market Research Bureau, and Nielsen Research. Mr. Roy has been a distinguished speaker in IIM, Goa Institute of Management, DU, FMS BHU, DTU, IIT BHU, Amity University, to name a few. He has authored several technical and research papers in data science and analytics. He is also a member of NASSCOM and academic advisor of Jaipuria Institute, Lucknow and BIMTech, Noida. He is currently visiting professor at Birla Institute of Management Technology and teaches business analytics and data science. Mr. Jitendra Kanodia, Head of Analytics, leading fashion retailer. Mr. Jitendra Kanodia has more than 20 years of experience in business, operations, technology, and analytics. He has successfully led engagements for Fortune 1000 companies and helped them in pricing and assortment analytics, trade promotion, online product content management, channel monitoring, e-commerce analytics, and omni-channel commerce. He is currently working in a leading fashion retail company as head of analytics. His key expertise areas are retail and CPG analytics, program management, solution delivery, client relationship management, consultative and solution selling approaches, and lean startup methodologies. Mr. Kanodia has an alumnus of ICFAI, wherein he pursued his post-graduation diploma in business management. Also, he has done his Bachelor of Science from the University of Mumbai, Bhavans College. Mr. Mehul Bagadia, Head of Data and Analytics, Commercial Banking, Wells Fargo. With over 2 decades of experience in data analytics, business management, strategy, and service delivery, Mr. Mehul Bagadia is a well-known leader in the analytics domain. He is very passionate about data and the power of analytics. As a seasoned analytics practitioner, he has delivered innovation and transformation at scale through unlock value programs focused on delivering operational efficiencies, increased revenue with market share, new product launches, and digital analytics adoption for large organizations like JP Morgan. He led large teams across India and the Philippines. He has also worked with IDFC First Bank, ICICI, and Citi. Furthermore, Mr. Bagadia has been the recipient of the 10 Most Analytics Leaders in India 2020 and Analytics 100 Award Asia at MachineCon 2019. As Head of Data and Analytics in Wells Fargo Commercial Banking, his core responsibilities are to design, drive, and deliver strategic, transformational business outcomes, harnessing the power of advanced analytics for all the lines of business within commercial banking at Wells Fargo. Mr. Ritvik Rath, Chief General Manager, IS Strategy, HPCL. Mr. Ritvik Rath is an alumnus of the National Institute of Technology, Rourkela. After doing his master's in computer applications, he joined Hindustan Petroleum Corporation, an Indian oil major, in 1991. Besides managing various technology-driven initiatives, he has been involved in several important initiatives in HPCL with ERP implementation, organizational competency management, leadership development, setting up the corporate data center, and an e-learning center at HPCL's Management Development Institute, etc. For the last 2.5 years, as part of HPCL's corporate strategy team, Mr. Rath has been managing the digital transformation in HPCL by defining HPCL's digital vision and strategy, managing various digital initiatives, setting up a business analytics center and a data experience center, digital capability building, and ensuring an overall digital culture within the organization. While employed as strategy and IT professional, he is also a psychology student, specifically in the underlying dynamics of personalities and groups. He is a certified assessor for competency development and the staff for group relations. Ms. Ruchi Babbar, Head of Analytics and Sales at Pernod Ricard. Ms. Ruchi Babbar is currently working as Head of Analytics Sales at Pernod Ricard. She is an alumnus of Times School of Marketing, Delhi. She has a post-graduation in AI from the University of Texas and is currently pursuing EPM from Berkeley's Haas School. Having experience spanning over 20 years, she has contributed significantly in the field of data analytics, strategy design, and reporting operations for Fortune 100 organizations, ranging from financial services, FMCG, to media. Ms. Ruchi has an extensive track record of stakeholder management, stakeholder engagement, and strategic partner management in global startups and has expertise in managing and developing high-performance international teams. At Pernod Ricard Company, she is responsible for setting up and transforming the sales analytics practices for Pernod Ricard. In her previous roles, Ms. Ruchi served as Director Analytics and Reporting at American Express, where she headed analytics and reporting functions for merchant and network businesses. She was the General Manager Analytics at Hindustan Coca-Cola Private Limited. She built a centralized analytics function from scratch and was responsible for strategic business planning and a pivotal role in revenue growth management. Mr. Sundar Prabhu, AVP Analytics Consulting, Tiger Analytics. Mr. Sundar Prabhu is an analytics leader with over 20 years of experience managing high business impact programs in advanced analytics, business intelligence, and information management space. At Tiger Analytics, he leads program delivery for a portfolio of Fortune 100 clients in the manufacturing, logistics, and transportation space. His core expertise is in supply chain analytics. He has led and improved analytics maturity in supply chain areas, demand supply planning, procurement, logistics, forward reverse ecosystem, remanufacturing, refurbishment, auction, salvage, supply quantity with large and complex supply chain organizations at Nike and AT&T. Mr. Prabhu's experience includes playing analytics leadership roles in AT&T, Hyter Yale, and Cognizant. He has set up sizable end-to-end analytics at COEs up to 150 plus team members. He was heading analytics for retail and CPG customers for the US West region while working at Cognizant. Sundar has a micro-master's degree in supply chain analytics from Massachusetts Institute of Technology and a bachelor in computer science from PES University. Now our guest will be joining shortly. Kindly wait for a few minutes. Welcome, Jitendra, sir.
Yeah, hi. Hi, everyone.
We're just waiting for the guests and we'll be beginning very shortly.
Yeah, sure. Jasdeep, I see 19 scrolls. How many students do you have today?
Sir, we have two batches, MBA 07. We have a few batches, sir. 267 students are from MBA 06 batch, and about 200 students are from MBA 06 batch, sir.
Oh, lovely. So we are actually going to be interacting with about 467 students.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Also, we have EMBA along with us,
Ah,
executive MBA students.
cool.
Welcome, Ruchi ma'am.
Thank you so much.
We'll be beginning shortly, ma'am. Just waiting for the other guests.
Sure, thanks.
Welcome, Bhaskar sir.
Hi everyone, good evening.
So we have Jitendra sir and Ruchi ma'am. We are just waiting for our other guests.
Sure.
Welcome, Ritvik sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome, Sundar sir.
Thank you.
Just waiting for Mehul sir and then we'll be beginning. Welcome, Mehul sir.
Hello, everybody.
All guests have joined now. Gunjan, we should start with the.
Yes. Information is the oil of 21st century and analytics is a combustion engine. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, respected faculty anchor, our esteemed guests, faculty members, and the students of Indian Institute of Management, Amritsar. I, Gunjanpreet Kaur, would like to welcome all of you to Vyakriti, the inaugural IT and Analytics Conclave of IIM Amritsar. Learning has always been a force that powers the paddle of success. And what could be a better platform for the brightest minds to come together and enrich the students with the epitome of experience? Management is efficiency in climbing the ladder of success. Leadership determines whether the ladder is leaning against the right wall. We are fortunate to have such a leader to guide us. Our Professor Sunil Reddy, Faculty Anchor, Analytics and Business Computing Club. I would now request you, sir, to kindly address this gathering.
Thank you, Gunjanpreet. Good evening, everyone. Respected panelists, faculty, staff, and dear students of IIM Amritsar. It gives me immense pleasure to extend a warm welcome to the first edition of the annual IT and Analytics Conclave of IIM Amritsar, Vyakriti. The conclave aims to provide our students an opportunity to interact with eminent industry personalities who are at the forefront of the digital transformation of their respective firms and the industry as well. I am Professor Sunil Reddy, standing in for our Honorable Director, Professor Nagarajan Ramamurthy, who is not able to join the event due to some prior commitments. Professor Nagarajan has conveyed his best wishes for the conclave. The world, as we know, is changing rapidly by both natural and man-made forces, or a combination of the two. Our mandate at IIM Amritsar is to prepare hundreds of young minds to spearhead our progress during these uncertain times. It is my humble opinion that we cannot achieve this glorious purpose solely through classroom learning. There is a non-trivial lead time for knowledge to pass from practice to the student through the academic process. Given the current rate at which the world is changing, students do not always get to learn the current state of the art in various fields of management. This argument holds the strongest when we speak about the field of digital transformation. A vast array of technologies is emerging into the market every year. These technologies are being deployed into productive activities at an unprecedented scale and pace. The only way in which our students can get to know about these developments is through industry conclaves like this one. Our students will learn immensely through interaction with the experts on the front lines, like those in the esteemed panel we have with us today. Through this panel discussion, our students, the leaders of the future, seek a glimpse into the conditions on the front lines. I myself am very eager to witness a very productive discussion between the current leaders of the industry and the future leaders here at IIM Amritsar. A quick note on a very important update from IIM Amritsar that is worth mentioning in this great occasion. IIM Amritsar has launched the MBA Analytics program this year. We have a very talented cohort that is undergoing specialized training to embark on a successful career in analytics and digital transformation. It is my hope that these students get to meet their role models and establish long-term association with them through this conclave. With a lot of warmth in my heart, I would like to thank the eminent panelists for their presence in the conclave. I thank each one of you for taking the time out and aiding the faculty at IIM Amritsar in achieving our motto of igniting possibilities. I hope our students will make the best of this opportunity and get vital insights into the dynamics of digital transformation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your kind thoughts and enlightening words. Now, without further ado, I would like to steer the conclave towards the discussion on the theme by introducing today's guests. Mr. Bhaskar Roy, Vice President and Global Operating Leader, Genpact Analytics and Research Services. Mr. Jitendra Kanodia, Head of Analytics, Leading Fashion Retailer. Mr. Mehul Bagaria, Head of Data and Analytics, Commercial Banking, Wells Fargo. Mr. Ritvik Rath, Chief General Manager, IA Strategy, HPCL. Ms. Ruchi Babbar, Head of Analytics, Sales, Pernod Ricard. Mr. Sundar Prabhu, AVP Analytics Consulting, Tiger Analytics. The theme for today is Evolving to Adapt, Digital Transformation in the Era of Disruption. And the moderator will be Mr. Jitendra Kanodia. I request Mr. Jitendra Kanodia to commence the panel discussion.
Thank you, Gunjan, and thank you, Jasdeep, for the warm introduction. And first of all, thanks to all the students. I'm told we have about 500 students watching us and listening to us, and we're completely overwhelmed as a panel, and we will make sure that, we will give you some very interesting industry insights today. Yeah. And thanks to all the panelists for sparing an hour on a Saturday evening. And with this, we will kind of start today's program, right? So I think, digital is a loaded word, and it means, too many things for too many people. So I think let's start with first demystifying what really digital transformation is. Everybody's heard about Nokia, yeah. And in fact, a lot of us have also used Nokia phones in our younger days, right? So I really want to start off with a quote by the CEO of Nokia, who said that, we didn't do anything wrong, but somehow we lost. Yeah. What did he say? He said, we didn't do anything wrong, but somehow we lost. And we all know the history of where Nokia was and probably where it is now, right? So I think it is going to be an interesting conversation around, what digital transformation means. And I'd like to start off with Ritvik and invite him to actually tell us a little bit about what digital transformation is for the students and get familiar with this whole term. Yeah, Ritvik, over to you.
Yeah, Jitendra, thank you. And at the outset, let me thank IIM Amritsar for inviting us over. Thank you, the coordination team. I really don't know what you call yourselves, but it's been a significant amount of background work that you have done. And I'm sure that's all going to fructify today. I wish you all the very best. And thank you, Professor Reddy, for the kind words at the beginning. So digital transformation is a very critical subject as well as a cliched one. Because if you look up the numbers, I think after Afghanistan, the next one would be digital transformation. But being jocular doesn't take away from the import of it. So if you see, and this is not a term which is very new. In fact, I have been dabbling with this for almost 6-7 years now, before it became a mainstream activity. And I remember way back in 2014-15, I was attending a symposium of Gartner. And there they were promoting the event with the theme of digital. And we were all very interested in trying to understand, because right from the time joined the industry, it was all about zeros and ones, and which were pretty digital right from the start. So what was so digital about digital? So, and I distinctly remember, so the way they display it, and the whole, without wasting time, I would say that the control shifted from the provider to the consumer. I think this is something which digital brought in its wake. That is the biggest thing which happened. The second thing, what happened is it did a lot of democratization. Okay. So if I look back, I have been an IT professional for a major part of my career, post which for the last 4 years, I've been working on corporate strategy and specifically focusing on digital. But if I look back, it was almost a one-way ticket. Okay, so whatever is the providing team giving to the audience or the user groups, that is getting consumed. So if we look back at the set of apps, set of solutions which were there, maybe 10, 12 years back, they won't hold a candle to today's ones. So what has happened is actually it has given a lot of tools and technologies for people to quickly churn out solutions which are useful, which are efficient, which are agile, and at the same time, which overall improves the consumer experience. The third thing which I have also learned in my journey about digital transformation is there isn't any, what I would say, there is no guided procedure for having a successful digital transformation. In our industry, everybody looks up to Shell as a company which is supposed to be there, achieve the holy grail of digitalization. And I had the privilege of interacting with their head of digital some years back. They had a 11-year journey. When they started off in 2005 and 2016 was where they thought that they were digitally there. Okay, so trust me when I say so, that there is no prescription for this. Each one has to discover what is best. So the biggest part of the digital transformation is the discovery. You need to understand where you are in terms of digital maturity, which is very critical. You need to peg yourself very truthfully that here I am. Then set an aspiration for yourself and don't make it too utopian. So, and then travel the journey. The other thing which I have also realized in the digital transformation is that you need a very robust executive support. Unless the executive is committed to support the transformation, if it is lip service, then definitely it wouldn't take off in the companies. So if you look at the percentage of companies where the digital transformation has been successful, it's been around 17 to 18%. And I may be off by 1% or 2, but it is somewhere around that. And why does that happen? The primary thing is that one is the lack of continued executive support. The second is the adoption of change. So being cognizant that digital transformation, like any transformation, would bring in change is very important. So I would say that define it well, have a phased roadmap, and try to put in solutions and products in place. Don't try to drive it the other way around. So typically what happens with any technology transformation, we decide on the product first and then try to force fit that into the ecosystem. Don't do that. Decide your requirements, decide an aspirational state, and travel the journey with the new age technologies. Yeah, thank you, Jitendra.
Very nice, Ritvik. I think it's you put it very beautifully, and I think I can capture 4 or 5 points. I think you framed it very beautifully. The customer, this whole digital transformation has actually put the customer at the center of everything, and it is actually forcing all organizations to think outside in, and it's also helping us evolve a lot of business models. So beautiful. Bhaskar, you want to actually chip in with a few comments on what digital transformation?
Sure. I think, Ritvik covered, but, if you basically look at the word, and first of all, I just wanted to thank the entire organization team and, the IIM Amritsar team as well. Thank you for basically bringing in, all the brains together. So it's a mammoth exercise, I understand. If you basically look at the word, digital transformation, it has 2 separate words. One is digital and another is transformation. I feel, my experience for last 6-7 years, working on digital transformation, that digital is easy, transformation is very difficult. Okay. And, there is always, a collaboration between, man and machine, whenever we talk about digital transformation. So the machine will basically do all repetitive and rule-based kind of a work. Man or a human being will basically add value to it. And the optimum combination of, man and machine will basically make it successful in the longer run. So when we talk about digital transformation, we generally think that, everything is being driven by digital. If you understand digital, then you will be successful in digital transformation, but that's a myth. Okay, most of the part, the success of the part will depend how you adopt it, how you understand, and how you implement it, because there is a big change management which is required in the entire journey. Understanding the big picture, the end-to-end picture, at the beginning, and then, basically sticking to that plan will basically make the entire program a success. So digital, again, when I just wanted to say that digital and transformation, it's not digitally led transformation, it's digital and transformation, and, a transformation which is basically driven by digital tools. But, at the core, it's basically the people, who are leading it. So that's my understanding of digital transformation.
Thanks, Bhaskar. And I like the way you put it, the digital is the simple part, the complex part is transformation. And thanks to actually COVID, they say that, COVID actually could do what not many CIOs and COOs of companies could actually bring in. And I invite Ruchi to talk about, a little bit about, or Ruchi or Ritvik, chime in about how COVID has accelerated the digital transformation in some of the organizations. What do you see around? Can you just do it?
So great, I think, great setup and the context. And I just want to add that, digital transformation is always linked to a business goal, right? Any successful digital transformation that's happened has to drive a certain set of goals. I think that's the ultimate destination that all organizations keep in mind, and organizations who've been able to track that during their digital transformation journey have been extremely successful. So I like to just call that out, that the outcome, is across different pillars, be it customer, be it consumer, be it your own workforce, right? Workforce enablement is a very big area of digital transformation. So just for the benefit of the students, these are the 3-4 areas that fall under digital transformation. Coming to the COVID disruption and a mega disruption, and we see all of us sitting together virtually, doing this conclave, otherwise we would have met in person. So I think COVID has given us a reality check for the organizations, that there is not enough BCP readiness. And I say BCP, it is a business continuity readiness, which means that most of the organizations were, and across industries, were sitting on a risk, unknown risk. And when it hit us, we went through the entire journey of transformation. So some of the acceleration that has come up is around automation of a lot of activities, and leveraging robotics as a very big accelerator for automation. I think that's one that's picked up in an extremely big way during COVID. The other bit is that employee well-being, right? Now managing large teams virtually, making sure productivity is in place, employee morale is in place, full engagement is happening. There's a lot of collaborative tools, and there's so many in the market, and so that aspect has become extremely important, and more companies are adopting those virtual collaborative tools to make sure that employee well-being is there and the assessment is there. And the third bit, I think the BCP planning aspect, which is, the risk the organizations are sitting on, compliance management, all of it is moved virtual. So I think these 3-4 areas, and customer service, like you said, that customer is at the heart of digital transformation. So even in those scenarios, we've been able to reach out to the customer through innovative solution, right? Sitting at home, right? So I think a lot of acceleration have happened across the 4 pillars that we spoke about. Still more to go, but it's almost helped us grow as leaders as well, helped us work in a hybrid model, right? And it's here to stay. So I would say still evolving, and agility has become an extremely important. The learning that we've got as organization is the agility aspect. We cannot be sitting on a 2-3 year roadmap to build agility. In fact, the strategies post-COVID are almost made in 6 months now, because the consumer is evolving. So I think those are the nuances I would want to sort of bring to the table on how companies are investing in digital post-COVID.
Completely agree with you. Very good points. Ritvik, you want to add to
Jitendra, thank you. I think Ruchi talked about quite a few relevant points, and how the whole journey was accelerated by COVID. I remember in the early days when we were in the lockdown, there was a WhatsApp note which was moving around, which said, which C did accelerate the digital transformation the most? It had talked about CIO, CTO, CEO, COO, and COVID. Okay, and I think that's one of the positive takeaways from the whole pandemic, that it did ease out a lot of digital adoption, which was otherwise not happening in a large spectrum of organizations. I'm sure we have a lot of eminent panelists from different fora, and everybody would have experience. So I, within my limited experience, would talk about how we in this first state and what all came true and what were the challenges. Okay, I think that would possibly give the people some inputs about what actually went along. So the first thing is that I think everybody thought it was a switch. Pardon my using some of the jargons, because I'm a techie at heart. So it was not a switch that, okay, we didn't have COVID, so there was no transformation, and suddenly one day somebody put that on and the whole thing got transformed. Okay, there are a lot of preparatory work which was happening. Organizations continuously have been investing on digital technologies over last decade or 15 years possibly. But the adoption had not picked up because it was driven from the supply side. And that's, though I'm a guy who evolved from a technology background, I understand that unless there is a pull from the demand, it is very difficult for you to push down solutions into somebody's throat. And COVID precisely did that. And if we look at the challenges that COVID threw at us, so what were the challenges? If I can summarize it into 2 words, like the C's, it is life and livelihood. Okay. So we had to look at both the aspects when we're talking about how to enable these. Okay. So livelihood is definitely important because we are a business organization. We need to ensure that the business continues in the face of the falling demand. The demand was shrinking. At the same time, how do you ensure that the whole thing continues? So whatever is remaining, you serve that and serve it to the fullest extent and to customer satisfaction. I think that's something which precipitated a lot of action in different business organizations within the company. That people suddenly became alert to the power of technology, because at the times of crisis, you try to either innovate or you look at whatever is there at home. Like, okay, we are short of supply of, say, some household articles, then we try to make do with whatever is available. Okay, so people did both. People try to innovate around whatever they could do, and they also dipped into whatever was already there. So VC solutions, for example, these were there from time immemorial. We had shot out so many circulars earlier, maybe 3, 4, 5 years in the past, and there was very little adoption. People preferred to move around. Okay. But suddenly they saw that, okay, this was an opportunity. You're not losing out on the business. You're not losing out on interactions. And this gives us a safe medium of interaction as well. This is one. The second thing which also happened is, all of us are like at the beginning, I remember Gunjan Prit talking about the data and how analytics is the refining engine. Okay. So all of us sit on a huge pile of data. But what we also realized during this period, that it suffered from 4 issues. Okay. One was awareness or the visibility of the data. The second was the availability. And third was the accessibility. Okay. So we are an organization, as you are aware, which has a refining, marketing, logistics, and the other functions. So there are data, I would not say silos, but there are data clusters, okay, which is visible either to a set of people or within a given ecosystem. Now, suppose somebody who is in refinery is operating on a plant system, and that was supposed to be operated from the control room. You suddenly move that guy out and ask him to sit at home and operate the same thing. How does the person do? So we understood that, okay, we need to have layered solutions. It is not about making something available or not available. It has to be available and to the right set of people. Okay. So there a lot of aggregation happened, a lot of relook at controls happened. Okay. Third, obviously, we also understood that the customer preferences, I don't think it is preference also, it was more of a compulsion at the part of the customers shifted. So when that happens, today we wouldn't like to go into a mall. Okay. I would like things to be delivered at my residence. And if the app that I use is not good enough for me, so what do? I just switch over to the nearest competitor, isn't it? So that challenge also had to be addressed by each of the organizations. So if you look at our services, we integrated so many payment gateways into the solution. I think today you can book an LPG cylinder through 11 or 12 different modes. Okay, you can book it through Alexa even. So this is how we reinvented, and I'm sure COVID definitely helped us in, as I said, managing both the life and livelihood, because the employee health and their lives also had to be taken care of. At the same time, the business had to be continued.
Perfect. I think the life and the livelihood point resonates a lot. In fact, when we talk about COVID, a lot of people relate, only to essential services, but a lot of transformation actually has come into other sectors, like you mentioned, petroleum, etc. We have Mehul, he who leads from Wells Fargo, is lead in banking. Mehul, can you talk us a little bit about what kind of transformation you have personally seen happening in banking, insurance industries?
Sure, Jitendra. First and foremost, thank you everybody for taking time out and listening to us today. At the same time, as a committee, hats off to you. Great job in getting all of us together. Yeah. Okay, so when you talk of digital transformation from a banking standpoint, it's a very unique area to be in. So if you think about digital transformation, most of the panelists have given their views on what that would mean. But for banks, it's been a mix, right? Because as more and more customers get to sense what an amazing UI UX experience feels like, or what sort of product are available to them in a moment. So from a bank's perspective, if you think about it, bank's job is to lend money, right? So from that perspective, how do I gather more deposits and how do I lend more money and do that exercise so easily that people continue to engage with me over a period of time, right? So that's the essence of digital transformation from a banking standpoint. Having said that, it is very tough because large part of banks, when you think about it from an ecosystem perspective, they have to fight legacy issues. That ideally would mean a lot of data stored in different systems across the bank, and they don't talk to each other. On the second side of it, you will have leaders with different objectives and goals on what they would like to achieve from a digital transformation. So getting that organizational strategy in place. The second part of it is when you have intent there, how do you bring some sort of clarity around what's doable versus what's not, and most importantly, budget. So when you get all of these things together and then you create a digital roadmap, that's where you start creating digital transformation. So just an example, erstwhile, when you would go to open an account, the entire account opening process for a simple savings account was 7 to 10 days. Right now, it is done in 5 minutes. Everything is digital, online. Everybody can just log in there, do the eKYC, and get good to go, right? So this is the pace at which digital banking is improving, and still some time to go. But some surveys, right? So there is a magazine known as Digital Banking, which primarily talks about how digital is shaping the future of banking. 67 to 70% of the CTOs and CXOs and CIOs believe that the next 2 to 3 years is going to be defining moments. And it's in simple words, the words which I like to use is progress or perish. You have to be relevant. You have to go out and reach to the customers. And we heard the panelists say, at the end of it, it's all about the customer. More so when you want to do banking, because unlike buying a grocery item from any e-commerce, you're talking money. So the trust, the stability, and also, right, Jitendra, if at all we talk about how comfortable people are to do large transactions on an app today, there is still some way to go, right? Not so much in metros because people are comfortable in metros, but as you go to tier B, C cities, it's catching up, but still some time to go. So I'll take a pause here.
No, perfect. I think very valid points, Mehul. Thanks for bringing that angle. And, you very well put. I think not just the customer forcing us to actually transform and evolve our business models, but also the organization's intent and the strategy and committing, money to the whole program. In fact, there are a lot of, side talks that take place that, digital transformation is nothing but a fad, frankly speaking. And I don't know how much it is true. And I'm sure, like, a lot of projects, IT projects, digital projects succeed, but there are a lot of also failures that actually take place. And I'd like to invite Bhaskar and Sundar. Bhaskar, starting off with you, tell us a little bit about, is that for real or is that a passing fad? What are your views?
When, if you basically look at, what's happening around us, I think we are all been using consciously or subconsciously a lot of digital products. And, we have become a slave of, digital, the way, we have been using digital, it's very common, and it's basically has become a habit of ourselves. When it is driven, by customers, when, companies will definitely drive it more passionately. And I feel that it is here to stay for a very long time. Imagine, I'll basically give some examples. We have never thought that the world's biggest, hotel chain will not basically own a single hotel, Airbnb. The biggest, fleet of cars company, Uber, doesn't have a single car. It's all, it's basically working because of digital, and it's been working very well because it's been driven and adopted by the customers, and that model is working. I mean, if you talk about e-commerce, I think I was reading somewhere around 93% of people who has an internet connection has used e-commerce in last 18 months during the COVID. So that means people are getting hooked to digital technologies, and this is definitely will be here to stay. And I don't feel a reason for it not to stay, because it has been driven by the customers. we have enough of information which is available, and we are living, I mean, fortunately, we are living in an era where information is freely available. We have large, amount of data. We don't have right people to basically make a meaningful insight of the data. So every organization, every moment, we are basically generating some gigabytes, terabytes of data, and we don't have people to make meaning out of those data, right? And the third point is there are technologies, which is being used and which has been adopted. I mean, for example, any IoT device, if you talk about, Facebook, they've been using computer vision for last 4 or 5 years. And, every time you log into Facebook or, they'll basically scan your face and they'll basically let you in. And, we know that, these kind of technologies has been used by some of the Fortune 100 companies across the world. So, absolutely, there's a disruption. And I'm basically going to the extension of this topic that digital transformation will bring disruption. So there'll be a disruption, but disruption will be for good. I feel that it will basically change the customer behavior. It will be driven by the customers, and will be basically there is technology which will enable it, which will accelerate the entire journey. And I feel that this will that fear, that what will digital transformation do? I mean, do we get jobs? Will it basically eliminate the manual work? I don't think so. I mean, my answer is I don't think so. It will basically elevate the level of thinking. It will basically help us to basically move to the next level of thinking. And at the end of the day, the entire journey will basically add value to a customer experience. And companies are not today, they're not going through digital journey to save cost only. I think they are going through this journey to make sure that they have an enhanced customer experience. And when something is being done to improve the customer experience, that is going to stay for long.
Beautiful thoughts, Bhaskar. Very nice. Very nice. Sundar, what do you think? Digital transformation is here to stay?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. First of all, thanks everybody for inviting me, and also the organizers for this. Yeah, when you think about digital transformation, right? Generally, when you read about this or when you hear, we hear a lot of buzzwords around Netflix or Amazons of the world, right? That's what we hear about. But being part of the consulting industry, and I've looked at several different customers, different industry verticals, it's not limited to just Fortune 1000 companies or like digitally born companies. What is happening, my observation is, a lot of small and medium enterprises are also trying to transform digitally in their own way, right? Either it could be like what Bhaskar was saying, right? In terms of going after new revenues of business, or purely like what Ritik is saying, that either they have to kind of do it, otherwise they will perish, right? I can think of like two examples that I can quote here. One is with logistics industry in US. It's a trucking industry. It's highly fragmented. There are a lot of players over there. So there is a logistics broker who connects the shipper with the trucking companies. Think about this as like a Uber or a Ola app that you use, right? Now, Uber has been trying to disrupt this space as well by introducing a technology platform, right? What they call as a Uber for freight. Now, one of the clients that I'm working with, it's a smaller company, traditional broker, right? So they were actually forced to embark on a digital journey, right? To build like a similar kind of a technology platform, right? To counter this particular threat from Uber, right? The other example I could think about, again, in US, there is a retailer who primarily caters to agricultural products as well as the livestock. So as you can imagine, the consumers of this particular retailer are essentially the farmers. And these stores are in the rural parts of the US, right? And generally the farmers have to drive like 15, 20 miles, right? To get to the store, to understand what is the inventory that is out there in the stores and all that. For the last 2 years or so, they have been embarking on an omni-channel experience where they have given options to their consumers to buy online and pick up in store or curbside pickup, right? And one interesting fact is, although if you look at the demographics of these consumers, they're not that tech savvy, but interestingly, the revenues from these online channels have gone 4x, right? And they have been trying to double down further on this investment. So definitely, I see this happening across different levels, not necessarily limited to the larger firms or digitally born companies, I would say.
Very nice. Thanks, Sundar, for your thoughts. I think collectively you all feel that digital transformation programs have one good thing that has happened is it has got customer at the center of everything, and it is pushing all organizations to actually think, how can we evolve, how can we simplify business process, like Bhaskar also mentioned. So yeah, the very good thoughts. And in fact, to that point of not just large scale organizations, Sundar, like you mentioned, not just large scale organizations, but even in small setups, digital transformation is actually playing a key role. And can you just can some of us can talk a little bit about what are the skills that are actually required as we kind of scale up? What are the skills that are required to build and run these digital transformation programs? Ruchi, starting with you.
Yeah, no, so great. I think you mentioned about, what does it take to become successful in this transformation journey, right? And which type of organizations, what have they done differently? I would say that they have focused on skill building. I mean, they have identified the skill gap, and they have singularly focused on building skill. And I want to spend some time on the kind of skills for the benefit of the, the students community sitting here today. I think the number one skill, and like I said, digital is as much about people as it's about technology. So the number one skill, that organizations are looking at is around data analytics. It's a core function in almost all organizations. It facilitates decision making, data-driven decision making. And I would urge the student community to look at building competencies or data science, predictive analytics, descriptive analytics, the end-to-end life cycle of data. So learn technologies, learn methodologies to make sure that you're fully empowered to mine information for the organization. And there are a lot of new, in the digital umbrella, there are a lot of new technologies like predictive modeling, looking at conversational analytics, Google Analytics, looking at video analytics. There's so much out there, and the beauty of skill is that you are able to converge all of this into a story, right? So that's the second skill, that one is about data mining, but the other is that how to link it to a business goal. So whoever will succeed in data analytics to drive digital will be somebody who will be able to understand business and also should be able to understand the technology aspect. The second skill I think I'll want to call out here is about building skills around hyper automation or intelligent automation, which means that the organization ask is a lot around building end-to-end hybrid model of human and bots working together, right? So get yourself fully armed on robotic process automation in a big way, OCR, which is your optical character recognition in a very big way, speech recognition, sentiment analytics. All of these are skills that are highly in big demand in the industry, and that will move the needle on the business metrics. The third bit of skill, which is non-technical, which a lot of organizations are looking at, is creative thinking, which means the elements of design thinking are extremely important, in the digital transformation journey, which means that right from understanding the problem statement to putting down ideation, and it could be crowdsourcing of ideas, and then prototyping, testing, and then implementing. I think get certifications on data science, data design thinking, automation. And the last and not the least, I think a lot of organizations succeed because the change management and project management aspect has been extremely strong around digital transformation. So any PMO programs, PMP programs, change management programs will be highly beneficial for the students to make this is a successful activity. So these are the 3-4 things, for the students to really take forward as they build their competencies in the skill set.
Perfect.
Other panelists to add more to it.
No, in fact, I really appreciate your thoughts, and in fact, the first one which you put to the forum was not just around understanding data or understanding, techniques around data science, but most importantly is to actually build skills around business, and if some of you follow Coach Simon Sinek, there's a nice video, TED video where he talks about start with why, right? And it's very imperative as students, don't get too excited about data science, technology, tools, analytics, always link that back to what your business is trying to achieve. And beautiful thoughts, Ruchi, again, compliment to that. Ritvik or Bhaskar, you want to, top up on Ruchi's thoughts?
I can definitely. I think Ruchi covered it very well. But, let me tell that, digitization needs domain experts plus digital experts, not only digital experts. So, if you feel that, if I learn some programming languages and if I basically learn some, big data techniques, I, become a digitization expert, that's a myth. Okay, so understanding a domain is very, very important. So, let me tell you that, there is a dearth of job today in the market. Every skilled person will get a job. You might be seeing a lot of unemployment data, which there are a lot of debates on the TV and which basically gives you a lot of depression that whether, after doing MBA, whether I get a job or not. But let me tell you that people, who are skilled, will have more than one offers in hand, for sure. What is lacking is that, even people who have a degree, 50% of the people in India who has a degree in hand, but they don't have the required skill which industry wants. So, the academia industry programs like this, mentoring by professionals, problem solving skills, project management skills is a very, very important. And I would like to tell you that, I would break it up in two parts. One is generic skills, where you have to develop your agility, the innovative mindset. You have to be curious and constant learner. Because this digital transformation will basically require all of these skills, in you. You should have the ability to work in team. You should be boundaryless. And the most important part is you should be ready to fail. If you fail and you learn from your failures, I can tell you that you'll basically be a very successful professional in your life. And if you talk about the specific skills, technical skills, absolutely data engineering, big data solutions, statistics, predictive modeling, cloud technologies, Python, PySpark, Hadoop, machine learning, AI. You talk about everything. There are so many things. But if you really, know this and, if you basically use it, I can tell you that, there is enough, for everyone in this industry.
In fact, to that, Bhaskar, I want to relate my own personal example. So I think when I started off my career about 19-20 years back, I started off as a programmer, and I think I'm an engineer at heart, no doubt about it. But very recently, I kind of was pushing myself to restart and do something on the web, and was it okay to actually go back to programming? I thought, let's explore a little bit. And to my surprise, I built a website on WordPress, and I built it in 8 days, right from blocking the domain to actually putting up components, which are, engaging components, creating content, all of that in 8 days. Can you believe that? So, there are a lot of platforms which are easily available, and as students, you can explore. For e-commerce, you can take a look at WooCommerce, or you can look at Shopify. All these tools are very, very reasonable. You can explore, you can try things out, you can do things on your own. Google Analytics is for free. You can do integration. So I think I completely agree with Bhaskar. Once you're clear of what you're trying to do, there are a lot of plethora of tools and technologies which are available to help you simplify and get you started, get you that jump start. Completely agree. Ritvik, go ahead.
I couldn't resist myself from joining in.
Sure.
I think three of you captured it very well. about the skills that are required. But I would just like to have a word of caution here, because that's something which I have been seeing over the last 30 years. This is I'm just about to complete my 30th year in this industry. And what I have seen is basically your USP as a person with a skill diminishes over time. So what you need to do is to be aware of the developments in the area that you're focusing on. You need to continuously stay abreast of the developments and stay ahead of the curve. The second thing which Ruchi talked about a bit about the design thinking, I think one aspect which has to come in is the differentiation between the project approach to solution and product development and moving over to the product model. So today we no longer talk about a large waterfall model. Okay, we talked about various versions of applications or solutions. So understanding product design philosophy and applying design thinking to it will be very crucial. And third thing, which I found very important if you're going to join a business enterprise, is to know a bit of the board talk. In fact, 2-3 days back, I was attending a seminar by one of the Gartner executive partners. So he was talking about how do you sell your solutions to the executives? Because for you to be successful in an enterprise, you need to package and sell your product also equally well. Only developing it, and every time you will not have a COVID to help you out with the adoption. Okay, so you need to sell it maybe 95% of your carriers. So these are some traits one needs to develop, and one needs to, like, I fully agree with Bhaskar that you need to add up your technical skills. Add up some domain skills to your technical skills. Otherwise, you are going to be dated very soon.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Very nice, Ritvik. I think you put it very, very beautifully. You need to adopt business skills to your technical skills. Very valid points. In fact, there are so many things that keep happening. And you mentioned, Ritvik, about COVID not always going to be around to drive adoption. I just want to invite the panel and get a little bit of thoughts around what are the mindset changes that you are, you want, those mindset change to happen. It could be at a leadership level, or it could be, for, let's say, at an employee level, to help actually drive digital adoption in any organization. So just inviting probably Mehul or Sundar, you want to, chime in around digital adoption.
Sure. Jitendra, I can take a stab at that, right? Thank you for that. Okay, first thing, I heard a lot of panelists. I totally agree with what they just shared, but again, just keep a very close track about everything, because there is a plethora of information available. And as young, impressionable leaders, it's very important to understand that all that you learn is somehow connected to how you're able to deliver the results. Because, you can learn everything, but the experience will tell you what to apply where and how. So a large part of transformation starts with understanding what needs to transform, when and how. So that's critical on my part, right? And the other part of it is to your point, in the last 18, 20, 24 months, one area that comes up consistently in all discussions is how do we use AI? How do we use personalization? How do we use hyper-personalization? Again, why are we trying to do all this? It's just to ensure that we stay relevant. And all businesses have understood that if at all we have to progress in this environment ahead, see, digital is a reality, it's going to stay and just going to improve, right? And as we look at year, 2 years down the line, what more can happen from a digital standpoint? It can be more cloud adoption. It can be more IoT. It can be a lot more about data privacy, because everybody's talking digital. Now, what happens is as more and more data starts getting digital, it's also about privacy issues. How are you going to store your data? Do we have that understanding of how we're going to manage that? So, a lot of hype, but a lot of reality also that needs to be people have to be mindful of as we go through. So these are 3-4 points which I think Jitendra is going to play a crucial role, and the changes or the trends we are seeing in the environment today.
Yeah, Jitendra, yeah. So there are a couple of aspects, as I think, right, when it comes to adoption. One is like a top-down, right, where you definitely need to have like a digital champion within the organization, right, who knows in and out, right, what works, what doesn't work, and have that ability to kind of convince and sell across the organization. Because generally, digital transformation involves multiple different groups, right? Now, when you think about end consumer, it's not a supply chain only problem. It's not a sales problem. It's not a marketing problem, right? All the different departments needs to come together. They need to be on the same page. Rather than looking at just the departmental objectives, they need to think about the end consumer in mind. There's going to be some trade-offs that needs to happen across different departments. In order to drive it, at a top level, you need to have a digital champion, right? Who can actually convince all the departments to come together to the table and work together. That is one aspect. And second is for the employees themselves, obviously there will be some insecurities, right? In terms of what's going to happen with their jobs and all that. So a clear amount of transparency providing them in terms of how the reskilling will happen, or it's all better for them, right? That messaging also needs to happen, right? More from a top down. Now, when you look from a bottom up, some of the users of this, they need to be part of the decision making right from the beginning, right? That's going to be the key. So they need to feel that it is their own kind of transformation. They are driving it, right? In that way, there will be better ownership, right? When it comes to adoption itself, right? And then the third aspect is more in terms of the value articulation itself. So I can quote an example where in one of the projects where I was doing like a discount recommendation for sales folks, right, who were doing more of a B2B setup. Now we did like a discount recommendation engine, and then the sales guys are asking, hey, why are you telling me how to run my business, right? I know my customers better, right? I know what will work, what will not work, right? So I don't need your model to tell me what needs to be, right? So generally there is resistance. And of course, there is also some insecurity that, hey, I'm not going to meet my sales target, right? If I go with this sort of a recommendation where overall margin of the company might improve, but I'll still miss my sales target, right? So we had to go and convince, show some data, do some test and control, saying that, hey, without using model, with using the model, right, what your results going to be, and do some sort of a gamification also that, hey, you use your product more, right, you're going to get some additional brownie points, right, apart from meeting your sales target, right? So there are a lot of different things that needs to happen, right, in terms of improving the adoption.
Right, absolutely, Sundar. In fact, I think one of the panelists also talk about it, that as organizations kind of scale, you have this, area where probably some functions may actually be working in silos, and for a digital transformation program to kick off, you need that digital champion in your organizations, who can actually get all the functions together, who can actually bring the project charter to life and drive the whole program in the sense. And I sincerely wish, IIM Amritsar students, I'm hoping that some of you will actually become those chief digital officers of large organizations. All the best to you guys. And with that, I give back panel to Gunjan and Jasdeep. Thank you very much, panelists. Thanks for all your thoughts and participation.
Thank you so much, sir. Our heartfelt thanks to our dignitaries for making this session truly knowledgeable and for our students with their valuable insights. Now, I would like to open the floor for the questions. The first question will be asked by Mr. Shikhar Hemkar.
Hello, panelists. So my question is, digital transformation is hampered by budgetary cycles that aren't sufficiently responsive to what's happening in the company. Companies have a hard time quantifying the return on investment of their digital initiatives. So is the opportunity cost of incorporating digital transformation in modern businesses justified financially?
I can take up this question, Jitendra, if you permit. Okay.
Yeah, please go ahead.
During the discussion, I made a statement, when digital transformation is not only driven to save cost, it is basically the main objective is the customer ultimate experience, right? So, the customer experience, I don't know how tangibly you'll be able to measure. It takes time. It's a journey, as I said, it's not a one-time exercise. So, initially, absolutely, it's very hard. And again, that's why, we were discussing transformation is basically a change of mindset. And, your CTO or maybe your HR will not agree because they will always feel that digital transformation will reduce number of people and they will basically think that, there will be a job elimination, or your CFO will not be able to fund this program. But, the chief digital officer or the CEO basically needs to have a vision that it will basically help us in the longer term. So, it is not about, how it will basically reflect on your P&L or your books. It is all about, how you want to establish yourself, your company in the entire market. You want to create a brand of yourself. I mean, think of Uber, the CFO of the Uber, they never had a benchmark to, compare because they straight away, went into that mode, right? So many of the times digital transformation, you will not basically have the benchmark data even. It's an idea and which has to be enabled by digital tools and that thought, the design thinking thought, which I think Ruchi has mentioned.
No, perfect. I think Bhaskar, in fact,
just add to that, I think, one of the key elements of success for digital transformation is to link it to business goal upfront at that point of initiation. Right, and these could be across different metrics. Say, for example, is the digital transformation journey going to increase my consumer satisfaction or customer satisfaction index? Very measurable, right? Is the digital transformation able to give me top line growth because my field is more well enabled through insights? So I think if at the beginning of the commencement of a project there are clear business goals linked which are measurable, then there is no question about budgetary aspect. We are very clear as an organization where we are heading, and then you do your milestone check at regular point that is it giving me an ROI or not. But upfront, if you link it to a business outcome, then there is no question of being it good to do versus something that returns true value to the organization.
No, perfect. So I think Shikhar, a very good question that you asked, and I agree, Bhaskar. Sometimes, when you embark on these journeys, it's very hard to get actually reference data and benchmarks. But, some of the digital programs that I've kind of run, I have only 3 metrics or guidelines that I tend to follow. The first one is either the program has to make money, it has to save money, or it has to save time. So these are the 3 guidelines that I typically use as a checklist, and when we are preparing a business case, we validate whether it meets either 1, 2, 3, or all of them. If it is meeting none, then you're just smoking. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
So the second question will be asked by Mr. Rahul Daswani from MBA 07 batch.
Good evening, esteemed panelists. So it has been an honor to hear you speak today. So I'll go ahead with my question. So when planning to automate business processes, how do you plan for the inevitable knowledge loss by the company?
Hey, Rahul, Jitendra, I can take this one.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
All right. So Rahul, first and foremost, thank you for that question. So if you think about automation of business processes, right, it starts with a proper process plan, a process map, a transformation map, right? And also after that, there's a technology map which takes into account, so think of it like a large flow chart, which takes into account all the steps in the process which is being performed currently and manually, and then how does it translate into your process flow, a process map, and then secondly, technology map. So when all of this come together and gets automated, so think of it as the chances of errors are reduced, and inevitably think of it that the information, the knowledge does not get lost, rather it gets used in future reiterations, if you will, when they continue to automate more and more? That's the simple answer, and more than happy for other panelists to chip in here.
I think there are a few more questions. Gunjan, yeah, there are two more questions. Right? Yeah, let's go ahead, Gunjan.
Yes. So the next question will be asked by Mr. Setu KS from MBA 07 batch.
Good evening, panelists, and thank you for this insightful session. My question is towards Sundar sir. So, blockchain have been outperforming other technologies in terms of data protection, privacy, and transparency of transaction. And its range of its implementation have demonstrated its utility in handling the global value chain. So, in context of India, how can the organizational readiness be improved to better adopt these technologies?
Yeah, I think when it comes to blockchain, I would say yes, definitely it has a lot of potential and a lot of applications, right? Again, from my own experience, when it comes to the supply chain itself, right, where I'm most familiar with, in terms of the traceability, right, and visibility, right, and fraud detection, right. There is significant use cases that I'm seeing. But having said that, in terms of the leveraging that data and then building certain products out where the business can straight away use, I've not seen kind of a widespread adoption yet. I think it will be few more years where I see that evolving. But right now, at least based on my observation, it is more in the exploratory stage, right? Where most of the companies, right, are kind of testing out in some fashion. It has generated a lot of buzzword, but still in terms of the mainstream adoption at an enterprise level, how you can adopt, I think still there are a few more years to go.
To add to this, I can tell you that, blockchain is being widely used in fintech, industry right now. The adoption in, some other industries like, maybe retail or manufacturing, still, I think, there's a lot more to do. But I'm sure that, this entire concept of blockchain, cryptocurrency, will basically take off. And again, maybe for last 18 months or so, I think the world was more focusing on, the businesses to come back on track. And then, we'll basically try with the new technologies and see, how it basically works in a longer time.
Yeah, Bhaskar, if I can add to what you're saying, I think this is one of the technologies which is the least understood, at least in India, in terms of its implementability. Okay. So, because as you opened up, Sethu, you talked about data privacy, you talked about protection, non-repudiation, and the immutability of the data. So if you look at all these aspects, typically it applies to agencies which generally interact with a large set of disparate consumers or users. So agencies like government, agencies like fintech, as Bhaskar was talking about, shipping companies, okay, or companies like who are managing insurance and all, where you need to necessarily ensure that the data is not mutated or the ownership is not repudiated at a later time. So these are the areas, and like I was saying some time back, I think we have a general tendency to force fit technology into a requirement. In fact, every 6 months I get 3 or 4 blockchain proposals which can very easily be handled by a simple workflow. So my submission would be, while you understand it fully, don't try to create a blockchain use case where none exists. So you need to have agencies which do not have an inherent trust among themselves, and you want to bring in something which will establish that. That is the area where you want to put in blockchains.
Sure. Gunjan, time for the next question. Go ahead.
Yes. Yes. So the next question will be asked by Sunil Kumar VNAS Jatati from MBA 07 batch.
Yeah. Hello. Good evening, panelists, and thank you for the insights you have given. My question is directed to Mehul sir. So, what is the prospect of adoption of smart contracts enabled by blockchain in India, and what are the potential challenges you see in adapting this new way of executing contracts?
Sure, sure. So, Sunil, thank you for that question, right? So, if you think about blockchain, right, as Ritvik rightly shared, that it is still a misunderstood term, right? Largely, people want to enter into it, but majority of people don't know how to. So, from a banking perspective, there are some use cases coming out where people are trying it, but there are some regulatory concerns because of which there is a, think of it as wait and watch opportunity, where people see, if they see more use cases coming from fintech integrating into and easily with a larger banking domain, that's where you will see an improvement. But yes, work is happening there, but still some time. So that's how I'd like to put it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Gunjan, go ahead.
Moving ahead, the next question will be asked by Ms. Yashwani from MBA 06 batch.
Good evening, panelists. So my question is directed to Mr. Bhaskar. So we talked about customer experience and customer centricity. So since there is a continuous risk of obsolescence in whenever a new technology adopts or something, how can we future-proof the digital transformation process and the digital technologies that the business invests in?
That's a very nice question. So again, I said, there is always a risk. You can basically minimize the uncertainty and kind of a risk, while in the inception stage itself. Generally, in any of these digital transformation, we don't apply the entire solution at one go, with the customer. So we definitely have we always basically have a test environment. We basically see whether it works, and then we basically apply it to the larger customer pools. So we basically do a dipstick study. There are a lot of methods that the solution will basically bring in some customers, will basically take their feedback, see in case there are some modifications or some changes which is required, and then finally we'll basically go. So these are some of the ways how we can do a full proof of the entire solution while doing while going through this entire transformation. Absolutely, I mean, that's the internal stuff, but we keep on as I said, we keep on failing and we keep on learning from our failures, and we basically try to do so. So again, it's like any other experiment. It's like any other journey where you'll basically have a lot of failures. There'll be a lot of risk, but we have to see that how with the known parameters we should be able to minimize the degree of uncertainty and the degree of risk.
I hope that answers your question, Ashish.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Gunjan, I think there is a question around, there's some interest around beverage industry. Ruchi is around, so maybe you can bring that up.
Yes, sir. We are moving according to the names we have got from the students.
Sure.
So the next question is going to be asked by Aravind AR from MBA 06 batch.
Good evening, panelists. It was a great experience listening all of you to give insights about the analytics in various industries. My question is directed towards Ruchi ma'am. Ma'am, since you are working in the beverage industry, we would like to know how data analytics is used in the beverage industry to gain insights from the consumer data, because this discussion has been solely focused as customer as a center. So I would like to know how in the beverage industry consumer data is used, as there's like difficulty in obtaining the data.
Yeah, so that's a very interesting question, and ultimately consumer is the king, right? So all consumer-centric categories need to understand shoppers, consumers extremely well. So there's a lot of work that happens, right? And the work happens both from understanding, say, for example, real-time transaction data, which is basket data, when the consumer is going and probably making a purchase, right? What it does, it gives a very good indication of what are the occasions, what are the missions, what are the price points the consumer is buying, is looking at, what is the response to NPD, right? So the richness of basket data or the in-store point of sale data, extremely well used in most beverage organizations. That number one. Number two, a lot of investment is made in understanding shopper through shopper studies and shopper panels, which means that it's basically a shopper panel, and there are certain questions which again ask the shoppers around what prompted the purchase within the store, how effective is the activation within the store, did they switch brands within the store. So there's a lot of understanding of the impact of activation and the ability to influence the consumer at the point of sale, right? The third aspect, and which one of the panelists mentioned, is about a lot of investments go on discounts, right? So there's a whole lot of analytics that goes on: trade spend optimization, optimum discounts. That's another one big area. The fourth big area is about beverages acting as partners for retailers' growth, right? So this whole area of category management is extremely big, and I can talk about it more in detail maybe offline. But that really hinges around what are the competitive landscapes looking like, where is the market going, what are the new preferences of consumers, and so on and so forth. So it's a very, very interesting area, very large area. But these are the broad nuances of where the work happens.
Sure. And Ruchi, if I may add a little.
Yeah, sure.
So, given that this question is more around CPG and, CPG and retail have been close to my heart over 20 years of experience. So Arvind, probably I'll give a little bit of my mind share. So if you really look at the, the retail value chain, it's kind of divided into two parts. One is the organized and the other is the unorganized. And if you really look at India, organized retail is still small. And when I say organized, modern retail is basically where you have a POS machine and you are able to capture information about the customer. And like Ruchi mentioned, if let's say Arvind is shopping at probably any mart, okay, let's not name any company, any mart, and he happens to bill, Arvind's name will be captured. And if there is a loyalty program, you can easily, link multiple, basket missions to understand who is Arvind, who does he have in his family, what are his family needs, how often does he shop, what else he may need, which is not shopping today. All of those insights are possible through customer analytics, and it's a very widespread area which, is currently being used by a lot of retailers. The other part, which is the unorganized one, which is unorganized retail, which is general trade, which we classify it as. There, obviously the challenge is data, right? So suppose, let's say you walk up to a kirana wala. The kirana wala does not have a POS machine, right? So effectively, let's say if Hindustan Lever is trying to sell a soap, right, they will give it to a distributor. The distributor then gives it to the retailer, and from the retailer is what you buy. So effectively, the HULs of the world will not know what probably Arvind has bought, right? And that becomes a very challenging scenario. And I think you were alluding to that problem, right? So not that, data is absolutely not available. There are actually ways to arrive at, alternate pointers. And typically how it happens is there are the distributors typically have DMSs, distributor management systems. And then there are providers who actually cull DMS data, and using the DMS data, basically the data which actually goes from the distributor to the retailer, there we are able to figure out, the patterns of SKU level data, right? So suppose, let's say a shopkeeper has ordered Lux on say day 1, okay, and his stocks are getting over in 30 days, then you know that he needs to reorder Lux again in next 30 days, else he will run out of stock and he will have an unhappy customer. So there is a lot of complexity in general trade where customer data is not available. but then we make up for it through secondary data. And besides that, there are also a lot of organizations like be it the Nielsen of the world who also complement you with syndicated data. So a lot of syndicated data becomes available to understand customer behavior, product purchase, product recall, all of that. So it's a very interesting space. And like Ruchi mentioned, we can go over for an hour and speak about it because we're passionate about it. But yeah, I hope it answers the question.
Yeah, I myself have worked in Nielsen for many years, so I understand this space very well. And again, there are many ways as Jitendra and Ruchi talked about. So this is very interesting. And there is a lot of changes which is happening also in the customer behavior.
Right, absolutely.
Thank you, sir, for answering. Thank you to all the panelists for answering the questions. From hearing it from you and your experience, it is very knowledgeable. It's giving new insights. Thank you very much.
Sure.
So moving ahead, next question will be asked by Mr. Sarthak Mukherjee from MBA 07 batch.
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank the panel for such an insightful session. My question to the panel is, with many organizations moving towards digital transformation, cybersecurity is coming up as one of the prime concerns. We all saw the recent unfortunate incident with Conclave. What are the key takeaways from such incident, and how is the industry preparing to combat these kind of threats?
So, Jitendra, I can take a stab at that if it is fine.
Yeah.
Sarthak, thank you for the question. Very timely, very important, right? The entire focus of cyber security by itself is going to be manifold, right? Because everybody is doing digital transformation, and alluding to my earlier point, a lot of data, which is again getting stored, online. Some organizations are good at it, some are not so great at it, right? So think about all those discussions on moving data to cloud. Now, very simple security issues like the password change on cloud, right? Which is a very regular phenomenon. People are not able to manage that on a regular basis. Now, imagine breaches happening because of that. So the leadership nowadays start understanding that the expense comes later on cybersecurity. The understanding of what is causing this is at the top of the pie, right? More and more people are getting intelligent, right? So for every time you see a breach news, you will see how innovative these hacks are, right? Starting from stealing your Facebook account's data and social engineering it to create your passwords, right? All those absolutely lead to areas where now organizations are very, very worried, right? On one side, they want to move on the digital analytics side and do a lot of digital transformation. On the other side of it, the reputation risk, which can impact the flow of profit or even the current existing customers, right? And I can just give you a small example. If a bank, right, gets the credit card data stolen, and just a hypothetical example, right? What sort of impact it will have for all next 2 years plans for that bank to build new customers, right? If you're watching Netflix and somebody is using it, right? And of course, when you are not shared the password, then it's a problem, right? So how does that entire story? So for what I'm trying to get at is that every organization today is investing a lot more funds in first understanding the root causes and sensitizing the organization on what it is that is called as a cybersecurity attacks. And then secondly, the budgets. Erstwhile, it was just about technology build. Now there are committees set up which will actually only concentrate, work with CISOs, work with the partners wherein the data flows through APIs on ensuring that the cybersecurity is getting discussed on a very, very regular basis, right? So these are some of the facets, Sarthak, that work in the industry today. And candidly, it's a never-ending story, because the more you try to padlock your systems, in a way, we want to do everything which is more open source and everybody is allowed to come and work with us. On the other hand, we have to manage. So it's going to always be a balance. And the way it's going to evolve is going to be very interesting, Sarthak. So more understanding around these, more novel ways to manage your business without getting into operationals and reputational risk, right? So these are the tightropes the businesses are going to walk over the next couple of years.
I just wanted to add, so I think the overall use of digital, tools have really increased in last 18 months. I think most of us are basically using the digital wallets, right, for all kind of payments. I mean, there definitely the more usage of digital, there is a higher probability of, basically getting attacked by, some kind of a cyber crime. So now what organizations are doing, and we are also helping the organizations is, we are trying to predict, these kind of events before it happens. So instead of basically doing a reactive action that, once a fraud is done, your amount is gone, we should be able to, create some trends. We are creating some algorithms which will automatically tell you before it happens. And it will basically, the cards, the kind of usage, the kind of, and for example, today, you're using a card here in Delhi, and tomorrow, you might be using it, within 1 hour in Amritsar. So they will call you and basically ask you whether you're using your card or not, because there is an algorithm which basically says that 1 hour within, Delhi to Amritsar, is it possible? It is possible if you have taken a flight. Okay, but I do a lot of travel, so I have faced this. I have seen this. Bank calling me and asking whether you have swiped your card or not. So those kind of things, and this is basically a predictive, method to secure the information and secure the money of the customers.
See, if I can add to what Mehul and Bhaskar were saying. So if you look at so this is a fallout of digital transformation or increasing a digital footprint and businesses. So what happens typically with any kind of security issue? Okay, you face legal issues. Like Mehul talked about, you have a reputation issue. You have business challenges because of obvious reasons. And today, if you look at companies, they store a lot of personal data, both of consumers as well as of employees. So the data protection risk is also very significant. So what has happened is that it is not treated through a single solution. You have to have specific solutions to manage different kind of security risks. And I have been part of the whole journey in our company for last 15 years now. Trust me, the level of CISO has gone up by 4 levels since I've seen it. So today it is almost at the level of a CIO in the organization. Okay. And in general, what happens, cyber security risk is part of the organizational risk. And in a large number of organizations, it is reported periodically to the board, the cyber security risks and the issues thereof. And another thing which has also happened in the recent past is the setting up of CERT as an organization in the company, in the country. Because for a long time, we didn't have an cyber emergency response organization in the country. I had read about CERT in US and Europe long time back, but in India, it came much later. So the organizations typically think of with CERT for advanced warning, as Bhaskar was talking about, if there are any issues or threats to the organization per se. And obviously you try to, like any other management, you also try to manage by exception rather than by rule. So you look at, if you remember Steve Jobs saying that you try to join the dots looking back. This is something where you need to join the dots as you were going in the journey. So every instance you find something out of routine, something out of ordinary, it needs to be flagged. Okay, it's better to have too many false positives than one false negative.
I think there is an associated question around data protection bill. So I don't know whether it's getting answered or somebody wants to attempt. Gunjan, you want to take it?
So GDPR is already, data protection bill is already there in Europe, right? And so I think it will basically create one more layer, right? So I think most of the organizations today, I mean, we all are working with European clients. We basically deal with a lot of data, where we have personal information from European clients. I'm sure the Mehul also works with a lot of data where, we basically have personal information. So I think the framework, it is same, whether it's in India, it's in Europe, it's in US. I think most of the companies, again, as Mehul said, there is a big reputational risk, which is associated with these events, right? So we are basically setting up the same framework. And consultants like us, I work for Genpact, and there are many people, who work with consultants. We already have that kind of a 3-tier security where, we make sure that, the data is, extremely secure, and the way we basically carry out all the analysis and everything is absolutely 100% foolproof.
Yes, Jitendra, if I can add to what Bhaskar was saying about data protection bill, India also has come out with a draft bill chaired by Justice Sri Krishna. Okay, it has not become an act of the parliament as of now because it's still under review. And primarily it borrows a lot from the European GDPR and all. But what also happens is that it talks about a few things which are not Indians were not very particular about. Okay? Like having the data, rather residing the data in the country. So data residency is something that they're talking about. And the consent from customers or the users in terms of data disclosure is something which is coming in. So these are a few, and I'm sure then in a short while we'll be seeing that promulgated into an act, and all of us will be bound by it. And while it is happening, I think organizations are still not waiting for that to happen. And like Bhaskar was saying, it is protecting the data, and at the same time, a lot of companies like us who store a huge amount of KYC info, we also look at randomization and anonymization of the data, so that even if it is, so it's protected at source, so also it is at the transit.
Perfect. We're clearly running out of time. Maybe Gunjan, one last question for the panelists, and we should be done for the day.
Yes, sir. So the last question will be from Mr. Shivam Kedia from MBA 07 batch.
Good evening, panelists. First of all, thank you for the insightful session. My question is, as digital transformation is a global scenario, but how India as a country is doing to compete with the developed nations?
This question is open for all the panel members and whoever wants to take a jab at it.
Okay, I'll take a stab at that. So first thing is that India, I don't think is lagging behind in any way. We have a digital India plan, which actually of the government of India, which states what we intend to do with digital in the country. And what happens is that this cascades down into a lot of government organizations and departments, where specific focus is given on digital first as far as the citizen service is concerned. So it is no longer like sometime back we had mobility first and then the desktop models. Similarly, today everything is digital first, and if need be, then you have a physical model that you need to take recourse to. So that's one. The second thing is that the areas are very well defined, what one needs to do. There is a cloud first approach also. The Ministry of Information Technology and IT has articulated what are the cloud services that Indian organizations can get onto. What are the security, the safeguards should be put in place when you are moving data, both organizational as well as customers, into the public space. Then if you look at the way the regulations have come in, the laws have been made more investor friendly in terms of developing digital solutions in the country. The Startup India program, where trust me, we run a huge Startup India program, and I think a major part of that is on digital startups. So through the digital startups also there is a huge impetus, both structurally as well as what I would say, through engagements. So that is in terms of funding as well as providing them business opportunities to develop digital solutions within the country as well as promote entrepreneurship. So overall, I see a it's a huge fillip which has come in as far as digitalization in this country is concerned. And I really, sorry, I'll need 10 seconds more. I'm envious of you guys. Don't get into a corporate bandwagon. Use your expertise, use your youth into being an entrepreneur and developing things for the country.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, if you see the number of global business services setups, they are the highest in India, right? And if you see the capabilities in those GCC or GBS environments, they are fully driven by digital, right? So which goes to show that India is the destination and has the capability, and it's probably way ahead. The other example I would want to give from the banking industry. Now, you would have heard about contactless, as a feature, right? Which the credit card industry uses. Now, the adoption of contactless in developing markets is far more. So the consumer sitting in India and some other developing markets is far more. So I would say that India as a country is almost at par or even more when it comes to adoption of digital, and it's a function of both capability plus consumer mindset. So just wanted to add that.
Absolutely, I think if you look at the recent IPOs, some of them have made it really big, and they're all digital. First organizations, be it Zomato's world, and getting good valuation. So I sincerely hope the 500 and more participants that are listening to us, we wish more and more entrepreneurs coming out from this group go out, go all out, try your experiments, and I'm sure some of you will have a really cool business setup and entrepreneurs for yourself. So all the best to you guys.
Thank you so much, sir. Our heartfelt gratitude to all the panelists for answering the questions from the students of IIM Amritsar. Now, I would request Mr. Vignesh to present vote of thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Gulchandpreet. Respected guests, faculty members, team from ETNO, and my dear friends. A very good evening to all, and it is an honor for me to propose a vote of thanks on behalf of IIM Amritsar. We would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to Professor Santosh Tiwari and Professor Chetan Chittre for guiding the industry interaction cell. I propose a hearty vote of thanks to our faculty anchor, Professor Sunil Reddy, and to all the panelists for gracing this event with their presence. We believe that this will act as a foundation for the future collaborations. Thank you all for enlightening us with your knowledge and experience. I'm sure the students will benefit from this discussion. And furthermore, I thank our exclusive media partner, ETNO, for covering this event. We are all very grateful to the media members, and I want to extend our gratitude towards the IT team for the smooth functioning of today's event. This event would not have been a resounding success without the seamless efforts of media and PR cell and merchandising and sponsorship committee of IIM Amritsar. We would also extend our gratitude to Team ABC, the Analytics and Business Computing Club, for setting up a relevant contest for this event. Last but not least, I thank the students of MBA 06, MBA 07, MBA HR, MBA BA, Executive MBA, and our alumni for their constant support, patience, and engagement. Without you all, this event would not be possible. Once again, thank you all.